Well, on today's episode of Beyond the Office, I'm excited to be here in the great city of Medellin, Colombia. And I'm with both my partner and my friend, Arun. Arun, it's great to have you on the show this morning. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm very happy and excited to be here, Bill. Thank you.
So this is your first time, and like I said, we're here in Medellin, but we flew into Colombia on Friday, and I took him outside of the city to a great little place called Guadalupe. So this is your first time in Colombia, right?
Absolutely, Bill, and I'm very excited to be here. Like, there's no other place on earth like Colombia, I feel.
Well, we had a great time. So tell us a little. What was your first experience in Colombia? What are your first impressions?
Oh, I think it's much more than what I expected. It's very beautiful, scenic. I mean, it's so green. The weather's so pleasant, and I think Colombia is very colorful, very vibrant. People here are full of energy and life, and they like to party.
Yeah, that is true. And Arun got to be very adventurous over the weekend. Tell everybody what did you do for the first time?
Oh yeah, I mean, I was not planning on doing this, but I jumped off a cliff and we did some paragliding, and I think it's one of the most adventurous things that I've ever done in my life.
Oh, it was awesome, and we bring that up because you can tell I'm red as a beet, and so I'm a gringo who doesn't get a whole lot of sun, and so yeah, we had a great time, and we're just starting to get into experience what it's like here in Colombia as we start to really advance our progress here in Colombia. But we've been together we kind of argue about this. How long have we been together now?
I think we've been together for 12 years. We've been working together. We've had a great partnership. I know you think it's more like 10, but I think we've been working together for
12 years. So, and Arun is our head. Actually, he owns Staffing Global India, and we partnered together. And so we're here to try to explore what staffing looks like over the next 5 years and beyond, as we start to look at how AI is going to impact the staffing industry. And so can you tell us a little bit, how do you see staffing evolving over the next 5 years?
Well, that's a great question, Bill. So based on my experience and in view of the recent developments with respect to AI, I think it's going to be a very exciting journey. It's going to be the amalgamation of human instincts and discretion with artificial intelligence. It's going to be a combination, a blend of these two that's going to basically be the new dawn in staffing.
So with that in mind, because this is not going to be an easy transition. I don't think you think so.
Absolutely, Bill. I mean, change has never been taken well. So something like this is disruption. I mean, this is something that nobody ever imagined. I mean, this is at a different scale altogether. So it's not going to be easy, but it's inevitable, whether or not you like it, like it or not. Yeah.
So with that in mind, what keeps you up at night? And so,
Bill, we've built processes, and we both are very process driven. We try to, create systems around everything. We want to make sure that it's foolproof. But what would keep us up at night now during the day? Because I work nights to
yeah. He works all night long. So nothing. He's up during all night long. So what keeps you up during the daytime? I should say
it would be the unpredictable nature of human behavior, and probably poor decision making. These are things that can actually disrupt workflows, create problems that you're never ready for. So every time you're up against a new challenge, and you have to pivot and create solutions as we face them, and we continue to learn from them.
And I think you've done a great job, building the team. But it's not always been easy, has it?
It's never easy. It's never easy. It's always challenging, finding the right fit, making sure that they align with the vision and the values of our organization, training them, building that mindset, making sure that we remain consistent in producing value for our clients. It's never easy.
Yeah. So tell us, as we look at AI, how do you see AI kind of changing the staffing industry? You talked about this amalgamation, but what's that going to mean? Do you see jobs disappearing? Do you see how is that going to work to add value to our clients, or maybe, or disrupt the industry, at a more granular level? You talked really kind of high level. What do you see happening?
So we're already seeing some changes. AI is here and it's not going to go away. I don't mean that it's here in a bad way. It's here in a good way. I mean, some jobs have been lost. Entry level, technical positions in IT, we are already seeing that. We heard, Satya Nadella speak about SaaS being dead. So there are a lot of disruptions. There are a lot of changes, but what's evident is it's going to make you more efficient. It's going to make you more effective if you adopt it in your workflows. So basically, things that are mundane, very repetitive, probably more well-defined, people don't like to do those things. And there are things that are of interest to them. AI can help you get there. You can do things that are more interesting, things that you want to do and other things that you do not want. AI can get you up to speed really faster. So the amalgamation, the early adoption of AI is definitely going to make you really powerful. But on the flip side, if you're somebody who's reluctant, who's rejecting, who just is stuck in their own old ways, it's dangerous then. I mean, I heard someone very wise once tell me, I'm going to quote you, Bill, you said, people see risk in action. I feel there is greater risk in action, and I completely agree with you when you said that. And, if we move early, we can reap the benefits. But if we stay stuck in our old ways, well, we are not going to remain relevant, because what today's dynamic industry needs is people who are evolving, people who are creating, continuously, consistently creating value, leveling up, going to the next level, making decisions, improving workflows. If AI is not adopted, you kind of are left behind and then you lose value.
And with that adoption, what are some of the wins that you've seen with the team so far? Because like you said, a lot of times people, and that's, I think, one of the biggest challenges that we have, if we're honest, people don't want to change, and we want to help them to change, but they're not always ready and willing. Sometimes we have to pull them a little bit,
yes,
but we want them to be doing it themselves. But what's a success story that you can say how we work with the team?
We have many success stories, and I can talk about two that's at the top of my mind. So we have a gentleman called David in our team. We do a lot of work with the Amish, and he's basically helps with publication, setting up newspapers and all that. He's been a hard worker. He's been very honest, on top of his game always. But he seemed to be more invested in his old ways of doing things that would require him to work probably long hours. He would have 10 or 12-hour days, but he was happy doing it because he was a master of what he was doing. And when we started talking about using AI, initially he was quite reluctant because he was set in his old ways. And through our coaching processes, through a lot of mental modeling, we kind of tested them using small parts of AI, and they saw success in that. And then they adopted it, and things that used to take him 7 to 8 hours to do, he does that in seconds. Mm-hmm. Now he's very, very happy writing scripts using AI, and he's just turned around his work, and he's so much more efficient. I mean, he can do what he used to do in a week in mere days. And because of that, we've been able to bring that efficiency to some of our clients' processes and benefit our clients as well. There, I want to talk about my second example, where we work with an Amish newspaper. They receive over 1,000 handwritten letters from their clients. And these handwritten letters have to be typed so that it can go into their publication. So they need a lot of typists to do that. In today's day and age, typists, not easy to find.
They're a dying breed.
Yeah, they're a dying breed. And number one, typing those many letters, parsing through English and Pennsylvania Dutch, because we work with Amish, is a very difficult task. And we were able to streamline that using our automated solutions. And basically, AI plus human approach. We have some human proofreaders who would still, make sure that the essence is preserved. The essence of the scribes, the way they write their letters. AI can get us up to 95% accurate, but we want to make sure that we deliver 100% value to our clients. So we have human proofreaders who proof it. With this process, we were not only able to meet, deadlines, create more value for our clients. They get to do a whole lot more due to our processes. And we've been able to save them an incredibly lot of money. I mean, it's a very big amount of money that they're saving each year. To be precise, close to $90,000 a year.
Yeah, so it's been amazing, this journey between, like you said, that amalgamation between the humans and AI. and it can benefit everybody, because what we're able to do is we're able to save our clients money, we're able to find ways to bring more value, and in doing so we can help our employees as well get to where they need to go. And so that's been super exciting for us. If you had to pick one thing, because I heard you talk about mental modeling, if you had to pick one thing that we need to help people to change so that they can be prepared to learn and to utilize AI, what would you say it is?
I would say, Bill, it's the feeling where people reject something without knowing it fully. People think that usage of AI is very difficult, which in reality it's not. Like, it would be difficult to learn Excel as opposed to learning AI, because AI is a tool that will help you work on many of these tools. So, busting this myth without even trying that it's difficult, I won't be able to do it. If we challenge that notion and if we are open to trying, I think we can achieve a lot more there.
So as we look at the future here, what would you recommend to both employers and also perhaps employees? I'm not sure if it's going to be the same answer, what they need to be doing to prepare for the future.
So employers, from the employer standpoint, they are looking to create value for their clients. They're wanting to be profitable, and they want to work with people who can bring that vision to life. And in that, my message to them is, look for people who have a drive to excel, who can be part of your vision and your journey, wherein, they can add value to themselves and at the same time create value for their clients. So those are the people to be looking for. And for employees, keep an open mind, accept things that are going to amplify your performance, because, someone who's skilled in using AI is going to be growing very soon in the years to come. And if you don't adopt AI, probably you'll lose your place. That's not a place where you want to be.
So tell me, what are some of the things, and because we're talking primarily to business owners and anybody who's been in business for a long time, tell us a little bit about, what are the challenges you face on a daily basis? You're sourcing people, you're dealing, I think it would be helpful for other people to know, like, what's actually happening behind the scenes, and what are the things that kind of, I talked about keeping you up at night or keeping you up during the day, but I think people would really like to understand, what is it that you do? What do we do at Staffing Global for our clients? Kind of give you an overview, and then talk a little bit about some of the challenges and the problems and how we overcome them to bring value to our clients.
Okay. So Bill, I would want to get into your question a little more to understand what specifically are you looking for. So are you looking at the challenges that we have in terms of running the business, getting the clients what they want, or you're trying to talk about hiring issues? What exactly are you
more about the people issues? Okay. What are you experiencing behind the scenes? Kind of like lay bare a little bit, because I think people often have this like idea, okay, there's no problems over here, right? Yeah. Or people like to make it sound like, oh, everything's good. But in reality, if you were looking under the water, it's a duck paddling as hard as he can just to kind of keep up. And we've had those times. We've also had many great successes. But I think people would like to understand, what is it that you do? Like, what's our process? How do we work with a client if they were interested in utilizing, our services? But then what are some of the challenges that we have? And then how do you go about remedying those so that they're not problems for our clients?
Exactly. So, we have to first understand that we are working cross-culturally. We are working from a very different destination. The culture is very different. People's behaviors, their day-to-day activities are kind of different. So there has to be this cultural intelligence which helps them understand what is expected out of them, and how to bring themselves to meet the requirements of somebody from a very different culture. Okay, understanding each other's culture, understanding the deliverables, understanding what it takes to be successful in such an environment is something that we do in the background. So, through our coaching sessions, we kind of help people bridge that gap, which is the cultural gap. Then also, when you're working remotely, what really matters is how well are you communicating? Because you want to make sure that you understand what your client is expecting out of you, and then make sure that your client understands that you understood exactly what needs to be done. So we've been coaching our people in doing these two things in a very nice way. We want people to be culturally intelligent. We want people to be effective in communicating effectively. And then comes more complex things such as critical thinking, decision making, taking ownership, being responsible, taking things through. Say, for example, nobody would want to work with someone who would keep coming back, asking questions, not knowing how to lead themselves. So we help coach our team to work excellently, even with minimum supervision, right? So these are some of the things that we need to work with. Sometimes clients expect results like instant coffee. In the real world, it really doesn't work. So we really need to work with the team, be patient, understand where you need to make improvements. Not everybody is the same. Some people learn at a very quick rate. Some people take time to learn. However, even people who take time to learn can be great workhorses. They can be steady eddies who can bring a lot of value to processes. So understanding each person's role in a team, what they are best at, allotting jobs that play to their strengths. I mean, these are some of the things that we help achieve in the background. Sometimes, giving feedback, process improvements are more challenging than what they appear on the surface. Making sure that the team member has understood the value in the feedback and they're implementing the changes in their workflow without being hurt, because we are dealing with humans here. And,
So what I hear you say is, we do all this coaching in the background, but sometimes it can be a little difficult because during that coaching, you have to tell some people some hard truths.
Yes.
Is that a fair statement? And so during that, we're trying to balance this between the person's feelings. We don't want to, we're not here to hurt them.
Yeah.
We're here to help them. But how do we do that in a way that gets this idea across and that they can understand what we're trying to do, both for them and for our clients? Because we don't see this as, they have to suffer to help our clients.
Absolutely.
It needs to be both moving forward. It should be a benefit to both.
Yep.
Did I get that right?
Absolutely, Bill. It's about striking the right balance between harmony and effectiveness, meeting our objectives.
So tell me a little bit maybe about some success stories or some challenges perhaps that moved to success stories.
Sure.
In this, where we've had those hard conversations or the challenges that you talked about on the human side in the background, and how we've kind of converted those to wins.
Right. So right off the top of my mind, Bill, I can talk about a newcomer in our team. He's this youngster who comes from, let's say, a challenging background. His parents are both hearing impaired, and there have been some emotional challenges in his early days growing up. Even when we sat through the interview process, I could see one guy who's really skilled on paper. He is a USCMA, has stellar qualifications, but and he wants to do good. I could see the intent, but he lacked the mentoring and the guidance to deal with some of the challenges, some of the emotional challenges, some challenges involving self-preservation, self-management. So when we started working with him, we realized that he had some disciplinary issues. He would not show up on time. He had issues with following the discipline that we have for our team. And despite repeated feedback, it just didn't seem to be improving. And what most managers or most teams would do at this point is write someone off, or probably, adopt stricter methods, which would basically put down the person, uphold their values, which never works. So you and I, we discussed multiple unconventional solutions, which was, restoring faith in that person, giving him unconditional support, working with him, telling him how much we believe in him, celebrating small wins, making him understand how he was capable of doing a lot more. And it was not easy. It was a long process. It took us 3 months, and now he is beginning to change. It's not a complete turnaround, but he realizes that he has great potential. I can see that he's really putting in his efforts to bring about change. He's been appreciated by the clients. They like his work. They like dealing with him. He's being responsible. He's being very personable. So that, I would say, is like a very recent turnaround story that we saw.
And that's what gets me excited about this business, because we are in the people business, and we're here not just to make a profit. We're here to make a difference. And one of the things that you mentioned about his potential, and one of the things that we kind of look at is performance is potential minus interference.
Yes.
And I'll say that again because I think it's important enough. Performance is potential minus interference.
Yes.
And we find that in the background, there are these interference points in people's lives. So I'd say is at a very high level, how we go about adding value to our clients is we help our employees to try to remove some of those interference points in their lives so that they can reach their true potential.
Absolutely.
So that performance really comes out. And there's not all these things that are holding them back. And so, like with that particular employee that you were talking about, and it's not us removing those. It's us coming alongside them to help them to remove it themselves, right? Because we can't change anybody, but we're there to help support them during their change in their life. And we've seen some dramatic turnarounds, and that's excited. And sometimes people come in and they're already ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
But these are times when we understand that people are people. People come with a challenging past sometimes, and we're there to help take them to the next level.
Absolutely, Bill. It's all about empowering our people, letting them know of choices that they did not know existed, and help them being more accomplished and better human beings.
So we didn't really talk about this before, but I'm going to throw this out here. We've been working together for 12 years now. So how would you say working with me, and coming from India, what are some of the big changes or the big differences that you've seen in work style or the ways that we approach work here at Staffing Global that you've now adopted, but were different or maybe challenging for you?
Yeah, it's been let's say a very exciting and interesting journey. And what's remarkable working with you, Bill, is how you open up people's minds by exposing them to incredible wisdom. So I think I could see a lot of wisdom, in you, in your ways of dealing with challenges, and some of those methods were very extraordinary. And I would not say that I always liked all the ideas, but then I trusted you and we jumped into it together, and it has worked out great for us. So I would say that you're very direct. You would bring up points that people do not want to talk about. It's there, and you've always taught me, just because people are not talking about it doesn't mean it isn't there. And you would be benefiting by talking about those things, and probably it may be unpleasant in the moment, but it helps you deal with it upfront. And there's this great example that you gave me, that if you're ever in the rapids and if you are trying to avoid a stone, head towards it, and then you'd be able to dodge it, because if you try to go away from it, you'll end right into it. So
yeah, it's and what he's talking about there is the idea in a kayak. If you're headed towards this big rock, people's first inclination is to lean away from it. But when you do that, it actually tips the one side of your kayak into the water, and it'll basically flip you upside down against the rock. That's not a good place to be. Upside down against the rock. But if you lean towards it, it will actually pick your kayak out of the water. And then when you get to the rock, you just take one quick paddle and you'll move right around the rock. And so I think that what I hear you saying is it's really just about approaching problems directly and going right at it head on. If we're having an employee issue, that we're going to be sensitive to not hurting their feelings, but we need to make sure that we're dealing with this, because this whole it'll take care of itself over time. I found, at least in my history, it doesn't work.
Absolutely.
And so I think that direct approach, as you called it, is something that I've learned. I didn't always want to do that. I was hoping things would will resolve themselves over time, but I found that just didn't happen. And so we needed to, if we've got an issue, let's deal with it, and deal with it now, so that our clients don't have to deal with
Absolutely.
it. And hopefully we can help our employees to make more progress faster.
Another pearl from your wisdom is, if it's meant to be, it's up to me. And if we have a team, full of people who can think like that and act like that, I think we'll be a force to reckon with.
And all this supposedly wisdom that comes from me, I tell everybody, this is not mine. I take it from other people. That's why I believe in reading so much, is because there's so much more to learn. And so
Absolutely.
While I appreciate you attributing it to me, it's all, coming from people much greater than myself. And so I'm just there to try to pass that along as I try to acquire these nuggets of wisdom. Is there anything else that's been challenging for you that you'd like go, that's been difficult?
I would want to talk about it. So as you grow from being a rookie in leadership to someone who's spearheading an organization, running processes, dealing with people, it happens multiple times that you come up against your own limitations. And I think, self-critiquing, taking feedback, and, talking about your limitations, accepting your shortcomings and working on it and becoming a better version of yourself is more challenging than anything else in this world. Because you're in a conversation with someone and someone tells you that you fell short, or that was not the best approach. Most people would take it on their ego, and that limits their growth. Very few, at least I have seen very few, who can actually take it to their heart in the best of ways and work on themselves and come back again as a stronger, better version of themselves. And I think that's been one of the most challenging things, but I would say something that has been very rewarding for me along my journey. I think I was able to take some of those feedbacks, sometimes subtle feedbacks where it was not given to me directly, but I could understand that this could improve if I would improve my thought process, my mindset, if I could work only on my acceptance, make it more accept reality as it is, and apply myself in a much better way. I mean, rather than kind of being in a state of euphoria, I think it's almost always beneficial to be very real, understand your shortcomings, work on it, and come back stronger.
Well, I appreciate that, because you mentioned before, if it's meant to be, it's up to me.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the tenets that we have in our company. We go through a book called The Traveler's Gift, and the first principle of success in that book is the buck stops here.
Yeah.
It's the responsibility decision.
Yes.
And so that really goes along with, if it's meant to be, it's up to me. But then the other part is I'm seeking, rather than what I want the world to look like, I'm trying to understand how it actually is.
Yeah.
And and that could be about the world, something that I don't like, but it's true, or something about me that I don't like that's true. Yes. And then once we understand what reality is, we can really go about working to change that for the better.